Mr. Pocket, a multiversal being with godlike powers, needed heroes and villains for his quest to save the multiverse. But first, these champions would need to go on their own journey. Aiding this, he combined the two universes into one. We know these as the Marvel and DC universes. This event would be known as Union Day, and here we have stories of heroes and villains living their lives after Union Day. Before Union Day and the new history made by the fusion of the two universes, we have heroes and villains known to all, and some we've never seen before. Now let us dive into Tiger Tales Marvel and DC Unionverse.
Red Lantern, Crimson Rage, Chapter 8. Not the time, or the place. Sarah Smith spent a few days recovering. She had woken up a few times but was unaware where she was. She had moments asking for her parents, a few moments in complete confusion, a few moments of bursting into tears, a few moments where she just stared into space until she fell back into a state of unconsciousness. Jordan had watched her for a couple of days, but her ring needed recharging, and she had a list of people to kill, and she had to continue with that. She had left her apartment the normal way, through the door, so that she could lock Sarah Smith inside for safety reasons. She then walked down into the basement and then opened a blood portal. She then walked through it and found Atrocitus sat there with a fire in front of him. He had more colour than the last time she saw him. He wasn't so dead looking.
You have returned,
Atrocitus growled, not breaking his gaze from the dancing flames.
Yes, the ring has to recharge.
Jordan snapped. Jordan walked over to the Red Lantern battery and placed her ring against it. A surge of energy sparked between the battery and the ring as they made contact, and Jordan then walked back over to her blood portal.
Are you still working on your petty vendetta?
Atrocitus asked.
I thought it was working.
Jordan asked back, rather confused.
It is, but barely. We need more rage, more blood, more death.
Atrocitus hissed.
Look, give me a week. I will put my list on hold and I'll help you properly.
Jordan said with a sigh. Atrocitus looked over to Jordan and nodded slowly. Jordan then walked through the blood portal, leaving Atrocitus to watch the fire once more. Jordan walked into the bank. Her bag filled with only a portion of the money she took from Sarah Smith's brother. Her plan was to deposit it into a new bank account and keep it safe. If Jordan ever needed it, she could dip into the money. She stood there in the line. She had a family of three, a mother, a father, and a young toddler behind her. The child was laughing at the father, making funny faces at her. Then in front of her, she had an elderly gentleman. She stood there feeling rather uncomfortable, knowing full well the money she was carrying was illegal. But she only knew that she had done worse than carrying illegal money. Suddenly, two young men barged into the bank, both wearing black masks and both carrying shotguns. "Everyone down on the ground, now!" one roared. Everyone panicked, everyone gasped and screamed, and they all followed the orders. Jordan also lay down on the ground, not trying to bring attention to herself. The thought of saving the random individuals in the bank did occur to Jordan, but she was no hero. Also, she did not need the attention at this moment in time with the money in her bag. So far, she did a decent job at staying low-key. She laid on her stomach and kept her bag close to her side. The two men walked around to the bank assistant manager and forced them into the back. Everybody could hear the two men demanding the vault code, and the assistant manager resisting. Jordan looked over to a young teen who was laid there with determination written all over her face. She was African American, with her hair woven into braids. She was a rather pretty girl, and Jordan watched as she quietly climbed to one knee. She pulled her backpack off her bag and unzipped it. She pulled out some fabric and started tying it around her face, creating a makeshift mask. It was purple and rather thin. She then stood up, and at the same time, the two bank robbers walked back in with two big bags filled with cash, and the assistant manager, who now had a bruise across her face due to the force of the end of one of the shotguns colliding with it. "What the fuck do you think you're doing, little girl?" one of the robbers barked. "I am here to stop you," the girl replied, acting all heroic. "Please sit down before we shoot you," the other robber sneered. They both aimed their shotguns. The young girl aimed her hands out and her palms began to glow white. Then they were hit with an exploding flash of light that emanated from her palms, blinding both the robbers. Both of them staggered backwards. The assisting manager also staggered and fell over due to the flash. The young hero ran towards the two robbers, jumped up into the air, and double-kicked one of them, sending him flying off his feet, dropping his gun. The bag full of money also fell to the floor at the same time. She then hit the floor due to her attack. She quickly climbed to her feet and aimed her hands out and sent another flash, blinding the second robber once again. She then kicked out and hit the man's leg, forcing him to his knees, and she quickly jumped to her feet and kicked the robber in the head, knocking him out. She then helped the assistant manager to their feet. "Oh my god, thank you so much. Who are you?" everyone asked as they started climbing to their feet in awe. "Call me Flashbang," the girl said proudly. As everyone started cheering and clapping, Jordan stood and scurried out of the bank, her bag of money in her hand. She knew full well that the police would be there in a matter of moments, and she already self-stated that she didn't need the attention. She bolted down the street and hid in an alleyway. She leant against the cold brick wall and let out a sigh. Her shoulders felt heavy with stress and panic, and then she felt someone watching her. She looked up and saw the teen hero stood in front of her, watching her closely. "Hey there," the young teen said with a chirp.
Flashbang, right? Thanks for the save, I guess.
Jordan said awkwardly, trying to act as normal as possible. "So, you're a Red Lantern, huh?" Flashbang stated, pointing at her ring on Jordan's finger. Jordan's heart sank. She did not want to harm the young hero, but on the other side of that coin, she did not need the conflict of someone knowing who she was. What she was. Silence speaks 1,000 words, you know. "So, you're an evil blood-fueled monster. I'm gonna have to take you in," Flashbang said confidently. Jordan looked at the young teen, and then it occurred to her that the hero in front of her was a young teenager with a piece of fabric covering her face. Jordan straightened her posture and aimed her ring out, and it started to glow. Flashbang's eyes widened, fear painted across her face with a dreadful pale colour.
Yes, I am a Red Lantern, and you're nothing but a child. So now go away, or I will kill you and make sure it hurts.
Jordan snapped. Flashbang held up her hands in surrender. Jordan aimed her ring and shot a blast of energy at the wall behind Flashbang. The young hero jumped out of her skin, and then she ran off, leaving Jordan alone in the alleyway once more. Jordan let out a sigh as she opened a portal and walked through it. The next day, Jordan went to a cafe. As Sarah Smith had woken up, they shared a hug, and Jordan told her that her brother died trying to save her life. Before his death, he called Jordan as he needed someone that he could trust, and Jordan brought Sarah Smith to her apartment. A small white lie well told, and a lie that Sarah Smith had accepted as the truth. Jordan had left the apartment unlocked this time due to the promise of staying in the apartment, but she did have the request of an Earl Grey tea, so Jordan decided to honour the request and was currently waiting in line for her order to be ready. She could hear some commotion down the street. She leaned her head out of the cafe out of curiosity and saw two police officers aiming their pistols at Flashbang. She had a purple fabric mask, but her clothes were different than the day before. Jordan shook her head as she had met a few heroes during the Putty invasion, and she full well knew you needed a suit to be a superhero as part of the dual identity and protecting oneself type of deal. "Hands up, girl, come on, hands up," one officer barked. "Fucking freak, keep still," the other one snapped. "I ain't no freak, I'm here to help. I stopped the criminal, didn't I?" Flashbang snapped. Jordan then walked down the street towards the commotion. She saw a man slumped on the ground, blood seeping from his mouth and a big bruise forming over his cheek. She had clearly laid one into the thug, leaving him unconscious. "Hands! Show us your hands!" the officer yelled. "You're only here because I'm black, you racist fucks!" the Flashbang hero yelled.
Hey, officers, how about we lower the guns and you take the actual criminal? And Flashbang here will promise to give up her little hero vendetta.
Jordan called out. The two officers then turned to see Jordan walking towards them. "Ma'am, please stay back," the officer ordered. Jordan walked straight past the officers, stopped dead between the two officers and Flashbang. She looked straight at Flashbang with a glare, then she turned on her heel and faced the officers.
Leave her alone. There's no need for this.
Jordan commanded. She felt uneasy. She felt odd standing for the lesser people, the middleman, those who couldn't defend themselves. It made her blood boil and the pit of her stomach start to turn. She was no hero, and she felt uneasy and nervous stood where she was stood. Jordan watched as both officers aimed their pistols, then they both pulled the trigger, bullets flying at Jordan. She stepped to one side, allowing the bullets to fly past her. One bullet flew right at her. She didn't have a chance to dance her way around it. She raised her ring and it started glowing. Her arm was encased in a Red Lantern energy gauntlet, and she swatted the bullet away. Then there was a gasp so hard and so sharp it echoed throughout the street. Jordan looked to her left and saw Flashbang. She must have stepped forward whilst Jordan was getting shot at. Jordan saw Flashbang clenching her throat as blood poured out of the slit made from the bullet that Jordan just deflected. Jordan ran over to Flashbang and she caught the young teen girl as she fell to the floor. She tried to stop the bleeding, but there was so much blood. Flashbang choked and gargled as her eyes rolled into the back of her skull.
No, please don't, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, oh my god, no, please.
Jordan mumbled as tears started showing down her face. Flashbang's body went limp as she took her last breath. The police officers then took their chance to come closer. They holstered their guns as Jordan stood, her eyes still, her hands shaky, her heart raced and beated louder than anything that she could ever hear, and it rattled her skull. Her Red Lantern suit appeared in a surge of energy. She aimed her ring and it started to glow brighter than it ever had done. Two massive sledgehammers appeared in the sky. They were so big someone could have easily moved in and lived in them. Both hammers came swinging down and they both slammed into each other at the same time, squashing both officers. Blood, guts and bones exploded all over the road. Blood splattered all over Jordan. Her construct disappeared and her suit materialized. She then back down at her work of art in the form of two piles of body parts. Then she turned to the body of Flashbang and she glared at her.
Fuck you!
Jordan hissed. She hated the fact that she cared about the young hero who had just died. She noticed the crowd of scared civilians and gathering in numbers. She held up her hand, a blood portal opened and she walked through it and the portal closed as she entered her apartment.
Sarah, I'm sorry, I can get the tea. Something came up. Sarah!
Jordan called out. She walked around the apartment, but it was empty. She then saw the front door wide open. She dropped to her knees, her body ached, her muscles tightened, her blood boiled, her heart raced, her anger escaped through the form of a screeching howl, her voice shaky due to the restrictions. Her rage-filled scream echoed throughout the city. It was carried to the atmosphere and out into space, through the galaxy, through the universe, all the way to Atrocitus. Her rage filled him. Atrocitus stood up slowly. His rags fell off of him. His ring went from a dark, dusty amber to a bright red. It started to glow. His logo on his chest flickered with light as he stood proud and strong for the first time since Union Day. Atrocitus was gaining more power. Jordan knelt there in the middle of her apartment when suddenly someone stood at the entrance to the apartment. She looked at the being. It was a male, but not human. His skin was a bluish grey. He had blue eyes and white hair, and he had thin black lines running down his cheeks with thicker lines around his eyes. He wore a brown tunic, his tight gauntlets and boots to match. "Hello, Jordan. My name is Razor. I'm here to help," the alien said. Jordan just stared at Razor. Confusion rattled her brain and rage still lingered on her breath. Then her ring started to glow.
What you have just listened to is a product created by the Three Ranger Bros Studio.
Hosted by three cosplaying fathers who
happen to be massive geeks of all sorts of fandoms.
They are Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger,
Cosplay Dude 637,
and Tai Tiger.
The studio covers different types of YouTube videos, TikToks, podcasts, and live streams.
If you wish to find out who cosplays who, the YouTube channel, the TikTok accounts, and the podcasts, and all of the other social media platforms,
please go to the 3rangerbrostudios.com.